Other theorists link the Sea People with the Fomorians, a supernatural race from Irish mythology, who are often portrayed as hostile and monstrous horned giants who come from the sea. But how are creatures from Irish mythology connected to a Mediterranean history? In an earlier episode, we spoke about how ancient Mauritanian, Moroccan, and quite possibly Egyptian travelers may have found their way to Ireland, inspiring early myths about people who were quite obviously not white European invading their country. Over thousands of years, those encounters became myths, and those myths became legends. There is an ancient historical anomaly that not only impacted the societies of North Africa and the Middle East in ways archaeologists are yet to adequately explain, but also has the potential to rewrite our understanding of the origins of Western civilization. This anomaly comes in the form of a mysterious race of people known as the Sea Peoples, who over a period of 175 years executed a series of apocalyptic incursions against the countries of ancient Syria, Egypt, Libya, and the rest of the Eastern Mediterranean, before disappearing back into the seas. Who were these people? Where were they from? And are they of natural or supernatural origins? They came from the sea in their warships, and none could stand against them. According to History.com, these are the words the ancient Egyptians used to describe a powerful invading force or confederacy of races that some historians say single-handedly ended the Egyptian era of the pharaohs over a number of decades. But who were these people, and why are they not spoken about more in today's academic books of ancient history? The coining of the term the Sea Peoples is generally attributed to the French Egyptologist Emmanuel de Rouge in 1855. Much of what's known about this mysterious race comes from the evidence found in ancient Egypt, courtesy of records kept by Ramses II, his son Merenbetah, and Ramses III, three separate generations who successfully endured decades of assault from them. While it would take a while for the Egyptian empire to collapse long after being weakened by their attacks, its neighbors were either severely crippled or completely wiped off the face of Earth by them. The Sea People's attack were so destructive that some historians say that they may have even single-handedly ended the Bronze Age era, instigating the decline and the eventual fall of all major Mediterranean civilizations. Almost every culture in the Eastern Mediterranean, including the Hittites and Anatolia, would become engulfed in destruction by 1175 BC. Only the Phoenicians and the Levant were apparently spared during this period. One of the most intriguing theories surrounding their origins is that they originated from the lost city of Atlantis. Variations of this theory have existed on the fringe edges of academia for over 200 years due to their seemingly anomalous natures. The first theorist to suggest that the Sea People were Atlantis came in 1886 by Wilhelm von Christ, the German classical scholar. Despite his high standing in academia, his thesis was never endorsed by the mainstream because Atlantis was and is deemed as a fictional location. Writing in the Treatises of the Bavarian Academy of Sciences, he stated that similarities between established history with regards to the Mediterranean and the attacks by the Sea Peoples and what Plato had written about Atlantis all synced up well with each other. And while mainstream historians laugh at the idea of Atlantis, von Christ's thesis does coincide with the current consensus that the Sea People were seafaring raiders. His idea is also supported to varying degrees by a number of other leading academics, including Theodore Gomprez, John V. Luce, Herwig Gorgmans, and the Greek historian Spyridon Marinatos. In the late 1960s, the famed professor Spyridon Marinatos discovered the remains of a Bronze Age city near Akrotiri on the island of Thera, known as Santorini. And because of this, he implies that the first Greeks were actually Atlantians and could be the source of the brutal attacks against the region. He explicitly mentions that the Sea People were population from the city-states of the Greek Mycenaean civilization, who destroyed each other in a disastrous series of conflicts lasting several decades. Consequently, proponents of the Atlantian Hypothesis states that the reason why Marinatos' theories are not accepted by mainstream academia is because it would imply that Atlantis was the original cradle of Western civilization and not the classical Greek culture. The Mycenaeans, who moved south following the collapse of their civilization at the end of the late Bronze Age, were repelled by the Egyptians and then moved on to the Levant, where they later became known as the Philistines. Egyptian inscriptions call them Pelest, and much research suggests that they are of Greek origin, supporting the idea that the Philistines were in fact Mycenaeans. 50 kilometers south of Tel Aviv and 13 kilometers north of the border with the Gaza Strip is the Mediterranean port city of Ashkelon. In 2017, researchers excavated the remains of 10 individuals, dating back 3,500 years, finding DNA evidence that suggested they were not from the area, and that these people were the Sea Peoples, although these conclusions are highly contested and controversial. Michael Feldman, from the Max Planck Institute for the Science of Human History, said some interpretations of ancient texts have suggested that the Philistines were one of the Sea Peoples. However, from the genetics, we cannot determine whether the ancestors of the Philistines that migrated to Ashkelon were indeed part of the Sea Peoples or not. Also in 2017, researchers translated the Luwian hieroglyphs found in 1878. These hieroglyphs were the official recorded language of ancient civilization in southwestern Turkey. The origin of the tablet appears to have been from King Kurunta, a ruler of Western Asia Minor, who, the tablet says, sent armies by land against the Hittite Empire to the east, and then by a fleet of ships down along the eastern Mediterranean coast. Since 1956, scholars have slowly worked on deciphering the Luwian language, and as of 2 years ago, less than 20 people on the planet were estimated to be able to read this language. According to Newsweek, the tablet claims that Kurunta's armies invaded a number of ancient coastal centers in modern-day Syria, building a fortress in Ashkelon, and eventually advancing as far as ancient Egypt, and goes on to reveal how Bronze Age civilization disappeared from the eastern periphery of the Mediterranean. This tablet goes some way in corroborating the idea that the Philistines were the Sea Peoples, who may have been either Greek in origin or, like according to von Christ and Spyridon Marinatos, Atlantian. One of the most fringe theories about the Sea Peoples, that a handful of theorists have touched upon, is that they possess anomalous attributes, making them not just composed of a confederacy of humans, but also giants. This could account for their military strength and ability to subdue or completely destroy any nation they came into contact with. Like the southern Arabian giants, the people of Ad, who are said to have at one point in their reign conquered the entire Arabian Peninsula, as well as parts of ancient Mesopotamia. The Sea People had power due to their anomalous nature. Other theorists link the Sea People with the Fomorians, a supernatural race from Irish mythology, who are often portrayed as hostile and monstrous horned giants who come from the sea. But how are creatures from Irish mythology connected to Mediterranean history? In an earlier episode, we spoke about how ancient Mauritanian, Moroccan, and quite possibly Egyptian travelers may have found their way to Ireland, inspiring early myths about people who were quite obviously not white European invading their country. Over thousands of years, those encounters became myths, and those myths became legends. But what if there's a supernatural element to this myth-based in fact? Perhaps the Serbian organization made up of archaeologists, collectively known as the cognitive archaeology or cogniarchy, can give us a clue. Although the cogniarchy does not say that the Fomorians are giants, they state the Fomorian name that sounds very close to the Slavic tribe of Fomoranians or Pomoranians. It means simply sea people, or more precisely, people living next to the sea, which is, by the way, also very true for the Fomorians of Irish mythology. Now, if we take Cogniarchy's ideas and connect it to Atlantis, we find a perfect fit. It's commonly accepted theory that the term Fomorian is also derived from the term Fimorici, meaning men of Morocco. According to the historian Thomas Dietrich, who died in 2017, Morocco was a colony of Atlantis, and so by extension, to have brought Atlantean culture to Ireland. This corresponds with Ignatius Donnelly's 1882 book, Atlantis, the Antediluvian World, who also designates Ireland as a former colony of Atlantis. Whether or not you believe in the existence of giants or Atlantis, it's clear to see the impact of the Sea People campaigns is far-reaching, impacting the cultures, lore, and histories of North Africa and the Middle East, as well as both the southern and northern parts of Europe. What do you think? Comment below. This channel also hit 100,000 subscribers over the past week, so on behalf of the mysterious Middle East, he wants to thank you, as well the pledgers on Patreon, and us, the narrators, for the support over the past 3 years, as we now have set off on the road to 1 million subscribers. Who knows? Inshallah it's possible. Till then, see you in the next one.